Welcome back to the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam busted and the Prophet of Islam busted on a regular basis. I'm your host, Brother Jacob. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that likes button, hit the subscribe button, and sit back and enjoy. Today we have a very special video for you today. This video will absolutely show without a shadow of a doubt that Muhammad was nothing but a scam artist and a total pimp who was doing nothing but pimping his God and pimping his followers. We're going to show you how this whole entire religion of Islam is nothing but a scam. And you know how we do on this channel. We don't say anything without bringing evidence, because we know how these Muslims are and we know the excuses they make, but we don't give them any room to make us into liars, because we prove everything on this channel. Because one thing I've learned about Muslims, they have so many excuses, and they will even excuse their own sources if it embarrasses their prophet. And that's why we bring nothing but Sahih references, and everything that I present on this channel, I double check and make sure, because we're not going to give these Muslims any room to escape. And with that said, let me scroll the screen down so you can see the hadith before you. Okay? This hadith, without a shadow of a doubt, will totally incriminate Muhammad as being nothing but a pimp. He is no different than the 1-800 psychic commercials that you see, where the psychic will come and charge you for a tarot card reading. Yes, we put Muhammad in the same bracket. And the hadith we are about to read will also show you that Muhammad was not even the only prophet during the time of Islam. And we're going to show you that, because within this hadith, there is a reference which points to that direction, that Muhammad was not the only prophet during his lifetime. And when we finish reading this hadith and breaking it down, we will prove everything that we are saying. So now, direct your attention to the hadith in front of you. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Some of the companions of the Prophet came across a tribe amongst the tribes of the Arabs, and that tribe did not entertain them. While they were in that state, the chief of that tribe was bitten by a snake or stung by a scorpion. They said to the companions of the Prophet, "Have you got any medicine with you, or anybody who can treat with ruqya?" The Prophet's companion said, "You refuse to entertain us, so we will not treat your chief unless you pay us for it." Keep that word in mind. So they agreed to pay them a flock of sheep. One of them, the Prophet's companions, started reciting Surat al-Fatiha and gathering his saliva, keep that word in mind, and spitting it at the snake bite. The patient got cured, and his people presented the sheep to them, but they said, "We will not take it unless we ask the Prophet whether it is unlawful." When they asked him, he smiled and said, "How do you know that Surat al-Fatiha is a ruqya?" That's the question he asked. Then he said, take it, flock of sheep, and assign a share for me. Okay, let's break this down. So the story goes, you have some of the companions of Muhammad, okay? They riding around the desert, they on camels. I like to give a visual so I like to bring it to real life. So some of Muhammad's companions, his thugs, his scoundrels, they riding around because you see they in cahoots with the scam that he has going. You see, it's a scam operation because Muhammad, he hung around basically thugs. They were caravan robbers. He would rob caravans. He would take the booty, that means the spoils of the people he would rob, and then he would divide the stolen goods, not equally, mind you. He would get most of it. He would take the majority of the stolen goods. He would take some for himself, and the rest he would say is for Allah. But we all know it's a scam. We know who the Allah is. Muhammad is the Allah and the Prophet in Islam at the same time. But that's another subject, and we'll do that some other time. Okay, so the companions of prophets, they're out. The companions of Muhammad, they're out on camels or whatever. They riding around the desert. So they happen to come across some more desert nomads. That's all the word Arab means, desert nomads. So they got their tent set up and they dancing and, playing drums, and they have the little Tinker Bell instruments and everything. Probably got some flute instruments, got the women out there. They probably smoking hashish. Okay. So here comes Muhammad and his men, and they see these people. Okay. And then it says, some of the companions of the Prophet came across a tribe amongst the tribes of the Arabs, and that tribe did not entertain them. So they probably didn't pay them no attention. They was probably, Muhammad's men were probably seeking food or some water or some shelter for the night. You know what I mean? While they were in that state, the chief of that tribe was bitten by a snake. Okay. So during all of this partying that they was doing, a snake or something slid in. It was probably getting dark out there, and they wasn't paying attention. And they in the desert, so the desert is home to scorpions and snakes and whatnot. So their chief is bitten, okay? So now the tables are turned. So now the shoe is on the other foot, okay? Now Muhammad's men have the upper hand, okay? And this is when they take advantage of the situation and become scam artists, okay? Well, they already are scam artists, but this is when they put their scamming into operation, okay? So the tribe members, they ask Muhammad and his gang, did they have any medicine or anybody who could treat with ruqya, okay? So Muhammad and his gang, they get spiteful, okay? So this is how you know that this is not a godly act that they are about to commit, okay? They get spiteful, okay? So after the chief got bitten, this is what he said. Have you got any medicine with you or anybody who can treat with ruqya, okay? For those who don't know, ruqya is a Islamic belief that if you say certain Quranic verses over a sick person or somebody who is demon possessed or suffering from some type of mental illness or ailment, they believe that by speaking the verses of the Quran, you will drive the evil spirits away from the person. Okay, it's a bunch of garbage, but anyway. So the Prophet companion said, in response to the chief who was bitten by the snake, he said, you refuse to entertain us, so we will not treat your chief unless you pay us for it, okay? So here they have the so-called remedy to the man's problems, okay? Now, they're going to use the Quran, okay? But look how they are using it out of spite. Okay? Religion, God's supposed to be something, healing supposed to be something that's freely given. Okay? It doesn't come with a price tag. This is where they turn the religion into a business. Okay? To see how they treated this man, you would think they were selling something like Band-Aids or Tylenol or something, and was telling the man, you can't get this until you pay us some money. Okay? So it's like they're doing an evil for evil. Okay? But in reality, the nomads who they came across, they didn't do anything to Muhammad's companions. The only thing they didn't entertain them. They had the right to not entertain them. This was a different tribe. Maybe they didn't want to be bothered with strangers. Okay? So this is a totally different faction of people. So, like I said, when the tables turned, look what happened. The prophet's companion said, you refuse to entertain us, so we will not treat your chief unless you pay us for it. So they agreed to pay them for a flock of sheep. Now, mind you, these supposed to be the Muslims, the representatives of Allah, the companions of the prophet. Okay, where in the Quran does it say you supposed to pay for healing? Where in the Quran does it say that? So but it's going to get good. It's going to get good, okay? There is a reference in the Quran, Surah 58:12, that speaks about Muslims having to pay money to have private consultations with Muhammad. Okay, but I'll show you that verse, but we're gonna let's continue with this, okay? So they say, you refuse to entertain us, so we will not treat your chief unless you pay us for it. So the people, they in a desperate situation, so they like, okay, what can we do? I mean, under normal circumstances, they probably saying to themselves, under normal circumstances, we probably wouldn't even deal with these people, but we are in need. Our chief was bitten. Okay. Now, putting it in modern terms, imagine if you was in the desert and the ambulance came and they had the anti-venom, which could cure you, and you only had moments to live before the toxin of the snake bite, took over your whole body. So imagine if the ambulance said, we can't do this for you. We can't give you this unless you pay us for it. You see what I'm saying? So this is the same reaction that these godly men, so-called Muslims, so-called religion of peace, this is how they acted. Okay? And where was Allah at when all of this was taking place? But like I said, we're going to get to that. Okay? So they agreed to pay them a flock of sheep. And this shows you that they didn't care about the life of the man, because all of this time, while this man was in need, they were inconsiderate of that. Because when someone is bitten by a poisonous snake, they only got a matter of time before the poison takes over their whole entire body. Okay? So where is the peacefulness in this? Muslims always saying Islam is the religion of peace, and no, we're not like that. And so where is all of that peace and mercy at during this situation? Okay? This man was almost about to die. So they put somebody's life underneath their feelings of feeling like they were rejected. And the people, mind you, didn't even do nothing to them. Only thing they didn't want to entertain them. This is like during the 7th century. These are desert nomads. They don't know these people. You know what I'm saying? These people got limited food. limited supplies, and limited water. Okay? But let's continue. So they agreed to pay them a flock of sheep. One of them, the prophet's companions, started reciting Surat al-Fatiha. And here, listen to this. And gathering his saliva and spitting it at the snake bite. Did you hear that? Now, it's a belief in Islam that Muhammad had holy saliva. And we're going to go to the references and show you from their own authentic sources, okay? Before they say, it don't say that. You know how they do. It don't mean that. That's da'if. It's no, not on this channel. We prove everything that we say, okay? So here you have a man other than Muhammad himself using his saliva in combination with reading the Surat al-Fatiha. He's performing the Ruqyah now. So the question is, what does saliva have to do with the Ruqyah? Okay? And why isn't Allah's word good enough? Why does Allah's word need saliva from a human being to go into effect? Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Okay? So the next question is, if Muhammad is the prophet, isn't he the one that's supposed to have the holy saliva? And we're going to show you the references to back this up. And that's why I was saying before I got into it that this hadith is pointing to the direction that there are two prophets in Islam. Okay? There has to be. Because how can you have someone other than Muhammad who has holy saliva? Because there are reports of Muslims who was smearing Muhammad's saliva all over their body. So if this man's saliva is also holy, then Muslims should be smearing his saliva over their body. Problems. All right, let's finish reading, okay? Now, one of them, the prophet's companion, started reciting Surat al-Fatiha and gathering his saliva and spitting it at the snake bite. The patient got cured. The patient got cured, and his people presented the sheep to them. Okay? So this means that Allah was in cahoots with the religion being sold. He was in cahoots with the man using his saliva. So Allah was in cahoots with it. Okay? Because it says the man got cured. Where in this reference does Allah intervene? If this is righteous, we can understand God healing someone. But this was done unrighteously. You get what I'm saying? But yet Allah allows the man to be cured. Okay? Now, mind you, I'm just saying this in basically mockery. I don't believe the story is even real, but the Muslims think it's real. I know that saying the Quran doesn't heal anything, but I'm just going by what they believe and showing you how it's inconsistent with everything that they tell you about Islam. Okay? Because it's showing how Islam is being used as a business. They are selling their religion. They are the pimp and Allah is the prostitute. So they selling and pimping Allah in this hadith, but it only gets better, okay? Now, the patient got cured and his people presented the sheep to them. But they said, we will not take it unless we ask the prophet whether it is lawful. You see how that don't even make sense? They the ones who said, you have to pay us. And then When the people presented the sheep to them, they said, "We will not take it unless we ask the prophet whether it is lawful." So basically, they were doing something without knowing if it was okay, but yet they still did it. But yet Allah still cured the man, even though they did it wrongfully, the way it went about selling the religion, when the man could have died because they were stalling and hesitating. Okay. But it only gets better. They said, "We will not take it unless we ask the prophet whether it is lawful." When they asked him, he smiled. You see this? You see this sinister, he gives them a smile. This is the devil smiling. So imagine a sinister looking smile on his face, because this is demonic. This is not no prophet of God. When they asked him, he smiled and said, you see, he wasn't disgusted about their actions of making someone pay to be prayed for. When did God become a business where you have to pray, where you have to pay for a prayer? You see? So they asked him and he smiled. Wow. When they asked him, he smiled and said, "How do you know that Surah Al-Fatiha is a ruqyah?" That's what he asked. Because he never told him this. So he asked, "How did you know that Surah Al-Fatiha is a ruqyah?" The man who treated the chief, he was acting out like a prophet. He was using his saliva, and he quoted the Surah Al-Fatiha as a ruqyah. And Muhammad was even surprised. He said, he smiled. He's like, wow, like when you tell somebody something and they think that nobody else knows what it was, and they believe that they have the only secret. Once you tell them that you know what they know, what does a person do? Out of amazement, what will they do? They'll smile. They'll be like, "Wow," and they'll smile or something. "How did you know that? Wow, I thought I was the only one who knew that card trick. How did you know that?" You see? When they asked him, because they told him everything that went on, you see? So when they asked him, he smiled and said, "How do you know that Surat Al-Fatiha is a ruqyah?" Then he said, "Take," and this is when he went along with what they was doing. He said, "Take the flock of sheep and assign a share for me." Shameful. Busted. When and where did Jesus ever do anything like that? When did Jesus ever charge a blind man for healing him? When did Jesus ever say, "Because you cursed me or went against me, I won't heal you until you pay me"? When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he even healed a Roman centurion who was coming to lock him up when Peter took the sword and cut the man's ear off. Jesus could have been like, "Since you the Roman centurion, I'm not going to heal you because you coming to arrest me. So until I place your ear back, you got to pay me some money or let me go free." Jesus didn't do that. He healed the man free of charge. That's the difference between a con artist and a real, true man of God like Jesus, who was the Son of God. That's the difference between a con artist and a true prophet. A con artist, a scammer, a pimp like Muhammad, he went along with the scammers who scammed these people. He went along with it. And Allah went along with it as well. Because the stories say the man was healed. And like I said, Allah is Muhammad. Because if Muhammad is the mouthpiece for Allah, he said he agreed with what took place. He said, take the flock and assign a share for me. So if he is the prophet of Allah, and if he is guided by Allah, and in the Quran it says that you are supposed to obey Muhammad just like you obey Allah, that means since Allah's prophet did not reprimand them for their actions, that means Allah himself was down with what took place. So they had the backing of Allah and the backing of Muhammad. Tell me this is not scamming. This does it right here. This destroys anything they could ever tell us about Muhammad. This is wicked. This is evil. This is demonic. This is satanic. It's all of that. This is not a prophet. Okay. Now, the man who read the Ruqya, what is he if he is not a prophet? How come he can use his saliva and say the Ruqya and the man can be healed just like when Muhammad uses his saliva? And let's show you the reference about the saliva. I told you on this channel we show everything. We prove it. Let's show you. Let's show you. We're going to show you. We're going to show you a reference where Muhammad used his saliva, just like the man who performed the Ruqya. We're going to show you. So you have other people in Islam, other men who knew about something that Muhammad didn't tell him. Remember, when Muhammad asked him, who told you that Surah Al-Fatiha was a Ruqya? And he smiled because he was amazed. And it's sad that was more interesting than him to Muhammad than the fact that they made someone pay for a Islamic service like healing and saving someone's life. It's sad that he wasn't disgusted over that, but more interested in who taught you that, and smile. Like, I'm the only one who's supposed to know that. All right, now let's read. This is another Sahih reference. Sahibi Sa'id reported that Allah's messenger said on the day of Kaaba, I would certainly give this standard to a person at whose hand Allah would grant victory and who loves Allah and his messenger, and Allah and his messenger love him also. The people spent the night thinking as to whom it would be given. When it was morning, the people hastened to Allah's messenger, all of them hoping that would be given to him. He, the unholy prophet, said, where is Ali B. Abu Talib? They said, Allah's demonic messenger. His eyes are sore. He then sent for him, and he was brought, and Allah's satanic messenger applied saliva to his eyes and invoked blessings, and he was all right. You see? As if he had no ailment at all, and conferred upon him the standard. You see? So, as you see, he did the same thing that the man did in the other hadith. He applied his saliva and he spoke words. It says he invoked blessings. It doesn't give a specific if he, read the Quran or not, but he still spoke words. And he used his saliva in combination with him speaking words, just like the man in the hadith before you. So this proves that without a shadow of a doubt that Muhammad was a scam or con artist. Oh, and I told you I promised you that I was gonna show you Surah 58:12. Let's show you Surah 58:12. This is Sahih International. I don't like Sahih International because this is the most lying group of translators. They lie. When verses in the Quran will get Muhammad busted, they'll change. When they translate it from Arabic to English, they'll change the meaning. And this is what's so like appalling to me, because it's like they see the errors, they see the contradictions, but instead of saying, I'm done with this, they try to correct it. I mean, it just shows you how demonic and devilish these people are, man. Like they do the same thing in the hadiths. Like something will be written in Arabic, but they'll give you the wrong meaning in English to fool the non-speaking Muslims, because they don't want you to see the contradictions in Islam, and they don't want you to see all of the disgusting things that's written in Arabic. So they try to just, change it up when they translate it. This shows you that these people are demonic, man. They demonic. The Bible say the devil is the father of lies. So it's letting you know who that father is, all right? So let's read Surah 58:12. This is from Sahih International. It says, O you who have believed, when you wish to privately consult the messenger, present before your consultation a charity that is better for you and purer. But if you find not the means, then indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. Okay, so this verse right here, it even contradicts the actions that those men did. Okay, they didn't say, if you don't have the flock of sheep to pay us, that we still going to heal you. No, they didn't say that. In this verse right here, it says that when you come to Muhammad, you should present a charity. Okay, so he was getting paid. This was a business for him. But if you didn't have it, it says that Allah is forgiving and merciful. Okay, why would Allah have to be forgiving and merciful for you not having the funds, as if that was a sin? Why does he have to be forgiving and merciful because you didn't have something? That don't even make sense. But this is Islam, so none of it makes sense. But this verse, it just shows you that those people were operating in a very vindictive manner. Okay? Because they were basically being tick for tat. Okay? It's not like those people lent them some money and they didn't pay it back. If that was the case, if it was talking about money, they would have had the right to say, well, you didn't pay us back last time, so if you want to borrow some money again, you have to at least, give us something to hold on to, something that's precious to you, and we're going to keep it until you pay us all the money back. It wasn't even like that. It was like, you pay us a flock of sheep, you pay us, or you ain't gonna get no healing today. We ain't gonna say no ruqyah for you today. You just gonna die. And that means that they were operating under their own authority, because nowhere in the Quran does it say that you sell the ruqyah. Okay, so they was doing their own thing. So this lets you know that that man was operating like a prophet, because he was creating rules that are not even in Islam. He was using his saliva And guess what? Allah, he went along with it. Because if Allah wasn't down with what the man did, then Muhammad wouldn't have backed up what the man did and said, give me a portion of what you received. If Allah wasn't down with the actions of this man, guess what? Muhammad would have reprimanded them. He would have corrected them. But he didn't correct them. You know why? Because profit was involved. You get it? He wanted some of the spoils because he was a caravan robber anyway. So he was used to this. This was nothing new to him. All right, so let's go back to it. Like, this is crazy, man. This beat all I ever heard. This is supposed to be a prophet now. This is supposed to be a prophet. This is supposed to be a prophet. This is a scam artist. This is no different than a pimp in the prostitute game. What's the difference? What's the difference? Y'all tell me in the comment section. I'm about to end this video right here. Tell me what y'all think about this. Hit the likes button. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. You can use this as a witnessing tool to your Muslim friends. If you in a debate and they try to, and if they try to tell you that Muhammad was a righteous man, you show them this video. Or you remember how I elaborated on this situation and you repeat it to them. Okay, that's why I have this channel, to give you ammunition on how to destroy Islam when Muslims come at you, because they need to be exposed. Okay, because they are liars, they are deceivers, and this hadith right here, it proves without a shadow of a doubt that Muhammad was a scammer, a pimp, and a con artist. And with that, this is Brother Jacob signing out.